All right, guys. So just dropping a 23.2 tip video. So a few things to think about in this open workout. So if we look at part A first, I think looking at the burpee pull-ups for RX, you want to be thinking about using a kip pretty much from the get-go. You might do the first 5 as quick, sort of strict pull-through reps, but the rest of the reps you're going to want to use a kip. And the reason for that is just general fatigue and sort of managing your heart rate. The tension you have to create to do strict sort of jumping reps will be much higher, which is just going to push your heart rate much higher through this workout. And this really is overall going to be a heart rate workout for most people doing RX. If on the flip side you struggle with pull-ups, you're definitely going to want to kip. So either way, kind of the kip is probably going to be the most beneficial thing to do there. It might not be a full kip, so you might kind of do a bit of like a knee pump. So you kind of pump your knees up at the bar and that just gets your chin over the bar. And then you want to make sure that as soon as the chin is over the bar, you want to let go just to reduce some overall leg fatigue. Arm fatigue even. Then we want to think about the run. So when we're running, making sure that we are staying, it sounds silly, but staying in a straight line. Like if you start doing sort of like a looping pattern or anything like that, you're actually just going to add steps, and that's just going to increase the distance that you have to run. So we want a nice sort of, not super quick, but sort of solid little turn where we plant the feet, touch the hand, and then turn back. And we want to make sure that we're not getting no reps, right? That you need to make sure your feet are behind that line, the hands behind that line, so that we're just clearly not getting no reps. The run is your recovery. So really we want to think about with the burpee pull-ups trying to keep moving. That doesn't mean fast, but that means ideally not really stopping. Okay, obviously if you feel your heart rate has gone through the roof, you need to take a break and manage that. But if we can, it's just that steady chip. On the running, going a little slower there to allow us to keep moving the burpee pull-ups is going to be beneficial because you're not going to save that much time in the running because there's so much deceleration, acceleration anyway. It's not the same as doing like a 400-meter run where there's only one turnaround. Because you're constantly turning, there's not that much opportunity to be super quick in the running. Later on, we also want to think about as soon as we finish those burpee pull-ups, if we need to walk the first section, like the first 25-foot section, then that's also a great way that we're still accumulating run, but we are just managing the heart rate because then we can just still be moving. So the goal is really continuous movement, even if that's slow in part A. It's a 15-minute workout and those burpee pull-ups ladder up. So this is going to get pretty spicy, okay? Part B for the thruster. So many of us might not have done a 1 rep max thruster before. So first off, if you're thinking about that and you're just thinking, I have no idea what weight I'm going to do, really it's going to be limited by that press overhead. It has to be a fluid movement, okay? So it can't be re-dipped, you can't do a push jerk. So the closest movement probably for most of us is going to be thinking about a push press. So if you have some numbers on that, if you have a 1 rep max, it's going to be pretty similar to that. And that needs to be relatively recent. If you have a 3 rep max, then that's probably about 90%. And a 5 rep max is generally about 80% for most people. Those are some ballpark numbers to give you some ideas of what you want to think. You want to, in your warm up, be building up to 85, maybe even 90% for a 1 rep. So make sure you are getting some heavy weight in there. Otherwise, it's going to feel horrendous when you get to it with a really high heart rate. Within that 5-minute window, you're probably going to get 3 attempts, realistically. The first probably minute and a half to 2 minutes, you're going to be just resting. And within that time as well, you need to take the time to probably get your lifters on. And lifters are really going to help. Unless you have amazing squat mobility and you're not that fast, lifters are going to help that squat position massively. So while you're dying on the floor, you need to just be getting those shoes on and making that happen. Your first lift wants to be a confidence lift. So that wants to be around about that 85% mark, where it's like, it's going to feel heavy, obviously, because you've just done a Metcon, but it's something you know you can hit. Okay, you're going to have to G yourself up. You're going to have to get into it before you feel ready because you need to just get in and get that lift in. You shouldn't be resting any more than 2 minutes before you hit that lift. Otherwise, you're probably just not going to get your lifts in. The next one wants to be about 90 to 95% of your max. And this will then feel heavy. okay? And you're going to do that about 1.5 minutes. So if you've gone on that 2 minutes, you're then going to go about 1.5 minutes after that, and hit that lift. And then depending on how that feels and how that went up is then going to determine what weight you hit for your last one. So you should be within a sort of 5 kilo range, knowing, okay, if I just hit 70 kilos and that flew up, I'm going to go for 75. If you hit 70 and it was a real grind, then it's like, do you know what? Maybe I need to hedge my bet, so maybe I need to go for 72.5. Because 2.5 kilos on the leaderboard will be thousands of places. So it's generally a little bit better to go for something that you are fairly confident you're going to hit, rather than being like, oh, I just jump in 5 kilo jumps. Like we have like the 1.25s to make those 2.5 kilo jumps for a reason. They make a massive, massive difference. Yeah, get after it, guys, and good luck.